Canada may be known for its natural beauty, but hidden behind its landscapes are dynasties that quietly control industries, politics, and everyday life. From families who turned butcher carts and bakeries into billion-dollar empires, to immigrant entrepreneurs who transformed cheese and potatoes into global powerhouses, these legacies prove that old money is built to last. We'll explore the Sobeys shaping grocery aisles, the Irvings who dominate Atlantic Canada, the Westons behind your supermarket, and the Thompsons, the wealthiest family in the nation. This is more than wealth. It's a story of vision, resilience, and influence passed through generations. Join us as we uncover the top 10 richest old money families in Canada. In the number 10 position, we have the Bronfman family, one of the most fascinating dynasties in Canadian history. Their story begins nearly a century ago, during the wild days of Prohibition, when alcohol was banned across much of North America. While others saw a crisis, the Bronfmans saw opportunity. They built Seagram into one of the world's largest liquor empires, exporting whiskey and spirits at a time when demand was higher than ever. This bold move laid the foundation for a fortune that would ripple through generations. But the Bronfmans didn't stop at liquor. Over the decades, they expanded their influence into real estate, film, and media. Imagine this: a single family going from running distilleries to owning stakes in Hollywood studios and shaping Canadian business culture. By the late 20th century, they had become household names not only for their wealth, but also for their philanthropy. Even after selling Seagram in 2000, the family didn't fade away. Through Claridge, their private investment firm based in Montreal, the Bronfmans continue to hold powerful stakes in technology, entertainment, and real estate. Charles Bronfman, one of the most influential heirs, has also made a mark as a generous philanthropist, funding education and cultural initiatives that impact millions of lives. What makes the Bronfmans so captivating isn't just their money, but how they reinvented themselves across generations. They prove that old money doesn't have to be static. It can evolve, diversify, and adapt to the times. Today, the Bronfmans remain symbols of bold entrepreneurship and lasting influence, showing us how one family's vision can shape the economic and cultural identity of an entire country. In the number 9 position, we have the Sobey family, a dynasty that started with something as simple as delivering meat on a horse-drawn cart. Back in 1907, John W. Sobey began selling fresh meat to neighbors in Stellarton, Nova Scotia. What seemed like a modest local business would soon grow into one of the largest grocery empires in all of Canada. The Sobeys saw early on that food was more than just a product. It was a necessity. With vision and determination, the family turned their small shop into a chain of grocery stores, eventually creating Empire Company Limited. Today, Empire owns household names like Sobeys, Safeway, Freshco, IGA, and Thrifty Foods. Think about it. Chances are, if you've bought groceries in Canada, you've likely contributed to the Sobey legacy. But what really sets the Sobey family apart is how they maintain control across multiple generations. While other empires have crumbled or been sold off, the Sobeys kept their empire close to home, carefully passing it down while expanding their reach nationwide. Their success hasn't just been about food. It's about real estate, retail, and staying adaptable in a competitive industry. And it doesn't end with wealth. The Sobeys have also built a reputation for giving back, funding educational programs, scholarships, and community initiatives across Canada. Their name is not only tied to grocery aisles, but to philanthropy that continues to make a real difference. From a single butcher route to a multi-billion-dollar empire, the Sobey family story is proof that old money can be born from humble beginnings. They turned necessity into opportunity, and in doing so became one of Canada's most influential dynasties. In the number 8 position, we have the Saputo family, a classic immigrant success story that transformed into old money wealth. It all began in 1954 when Lino Saputo and his family immigrated from Sicily to Montreal. With little more than determination and traditional cheese-making skills, they started Saputo Incorporated from a modest garage operation. Their product? Fresh ricotta and mozzarella that quickly won over local communities. From these humble beginnings, the Saputos built one of the largest dairy processors in the world. Today, Saputo Inc. operates across North America, Europe, and Australia, producing everything from cheese and milk to snacks and specialty dairy products. It's hard to imagine that a small family shop could become a global powerhouse, but that's exactly what the Saputos achieved through persistence, innovation, and strategic expansion. What makes the Saputo legacy so compelling is not just the size of their empire, but the way they have kept it anchored in family values. The Saputos retained significant ownership and direct leadership over the company, ensuring that their vision stayed consistent across generations. This continuity is what has allowed them to thrive in a fiercely competitive food industry. And while business success defines much of their story, the Saputo family is also known for their philanthropy. They have supported countless initiatives in healthcare, sports, and education, giving back to the communities that helped them rise. Their influence extends far beyond the dairy aisle. It reaches into the very fabric of Canadian society. The Saputo family's journey is proof that old money can come from new ideas, hard work, and an unwavering commitment to tradition. From cheese wheels in a garage to billions in global revenue, they've carved out a legacy that is both delicious and enduring. In the number 7 position, we have the Pattison family, a dynasty built on sheer ambition, bold risks, and an unmatched drive to diversify. The story begins with Jim Pattison, a Vancouver-born entrepreneur who turned a single GM car dealership in 1961 into a sprawling business empire. What started with selling cars quickly grew into something much bigger, laying the foundation for the Jim Pattison Group, one of Canada's largest privately held companies. Today, the Pattison Group touches nearly every part of Canadian life, from grocery stores like Save-On Foods and Quality Foods to advertising, packaging, forestry, and even entertainment. Their reach is astonishing. Jim Pattison understood that no single industry lasts forever, so he spread his bets across multiple sectors, making the family fortune virtually recession-proof. This level of diversification is what makes the Pattison legacy so resilient. What's remarkable is how Jim Pattison, even as one of Canada's wealthiest individuals, has remained involved hands-on in his companies well into his later years. That kind of commitment ensured that his empire wasn't just about building wealth, but also about shaping a lasting family legacy. His children and grandchildren are now poised to continue carrying the torch, securing their place among Canada's old money dynasties. Beyond business, the Pattisons are also respected philanthropists. From healthcare and medical research to arts and education, Jim Pattison has donated billions over his lifetime. These contributions reflect a belief that wealth isn't just for private gain, but a tool to impact society at large. The Pattison family's story is one of relentless expansion, from a single car lot to billions in assets worldwide. They represent the power of vision, discipline, and diversification in building a dynasty that will stand for generations. In the number 6 position, we have the Irving family, one of the most powerful and influential dynasties in all of Canada. Their story begins with K.C. Irving, a bold entrepreneur from New Brunswick who started with a single gas station in the early 20th century. What followed was the creation of an empire so vast that it reshaped the entire economy of Atlantic Canada. The Irvings built their fortune through energy, forestry, shipbuilding, and transportation. Today, their empire includes Irving Oil, one of the largest oil companies in the region, and J.D. Irving Limited, a giant in forestry, paper, and manufacturing. They also control shipyards, media outlets, and shipping lines, making their reach almost impossible to avoid if you live in Eastern Canada. It's no exaggeration to say that the Irving name is woven into the very fabric of the Maritimes. What makes the Irving dynasty unique is the way they manage their wealth. Rather than a single corporation, their empire is divided into a series of privately held businesses, each run by different branches of the family. This structure allows them to maintain control across generations while keeping their operations tightly guarded from outside influence. The family has also been known for a culture of discipline and privacy. Despite their immense power, the Irvings rarely seek the spotlight, choosing instead to let their businesses speak for themselves. Yet their influence is undeniable. They are one of Canada's largest employers, and a major force in the national economy. The Irving family is the definition of old money strength. From a single service station to an industrial empire, they built wealth that dominates entire industries, ensuring their legacy will endure for generations to come. In the number 5 position, we have the Thompson family, a dynasty whose name is inseparable from Canadian media and publishing. Their story begins with Roy Thomson, a man who started out selling radios in Ontario during the Great Depression. With an eye for opportunity, he purchased a struggling local newspaper, and that single step sparked the creation of one of the greatest media empires in the world. Roy's philosophy was simple: buy undervalued businesses, improve them, and reinvest the profits. Through this disciplined approach, the Thompsons built a publishing and media giant, expanding from local newspapers to global outlets. By the mid-20th century, they owned hundreds of publications across Canada, the United States, and the United Kingdom. Roy Thomson's vision and persistence laid the groundwork for a fortune that would span generations. Today, the family's wealth is consolidated through their private holding company, Woodbridge. From here, they control a majority stake in Thomson Reuters, one of the world's most respected providers of news and financial data. This isn't just a business. It's a global powerhouse that influences decision-makers in finance, law, and government every single day. What makes the Thompson legacy fascinating is how they've preserved their wealth across generations while staying relatively private. Unlike many dynasties that splinter, the Thompsons have maintained a united front, ensuring the family fortune grows while remaining firmly in Canadian hands. They've also invested heavily in arts, culture, and education, shaping Canada not just economically, but socially. Their influence extends from newsrooms to boardrooms, and their name commands respect worldwide. The Thompson family is proof that vision, patience, and strategy can transform a small newspaper purchase into one of the most enduring old money dynasties on the planet. In the number 4 position, we have the Desmarais family, a dynasty whose influence stretches far beyond business, reaching deep into politics, finance, and global affairs. The story begins with Paul Desmarais Sr., a lawyer-turned-businessman from Sudbury, Ontario, who in the 1960s took control of a small bus company. That modest investment became the stepping stone to something far greater: Power Corporation of Canada. Under Paul's leadership, Power Corporation grew into one of the most important conglomerates in the country. The company expanded into insurance, investment management, energy, and media. Over time, its tentacles stretched around the globe, with stakes in European giants like Pattisson and major financial firms. By carefully diversifying and building strong political connections, the Desmarais family secured their place at the very top of Canada's old money elite. What makes their story unique is the balance of business power and political influence. For decades, the Desmarais name has been linked to Canada's most powerful leaders. Former prime ministers, premiers, and global politicians have counted themselves as friends or allies of the family. This closeness gave the Desmarais dynasty not just wealth, but also extraordinary influence over national and international decisions. Today, Paul Desmarais Jr. and André Desmarais carry forward the legacy, overseeing Power Corporation while guiding it into the future of global finance and sustainable investments. Beyond business, the family is also known for philanthropy, supporting cultural, educational, and health institutions throughout Quebec and across Canada. The Desmarais family embodies the idea of power behind the scenes. Their wealth may be vast, but it is their ability to shape politics, economics, and society that makes them one of the most fascinating old money dynasties in Canadian history. In the number 3 position, we have the McCain family, the name behind one of the most recognizable frozen food brands in the world. Their story begins in 1957 in the small town of Florenceville, New Brunswick, when brothers Wallace, Harrison, Robert, and Andrew McCain decided to turn their family's farming knowledge into a business. Their idea was simple yet revolutionary: take the humble potato and transform it into frozen French fries. What started as a local business quickly became a global phenomenon. McCain Foods grew into the world's largest producer of frozen potato products, supplying restaurants, fast food chains, and households across more than 160 countries. Today, when you order fries at a fast food restaurant, there's a good chance they came from McCain Foods. The scale of their empire turned a rural farming family into one of Canada's wealthiest dynasties. But the McCain story is not without drama. Family disputes over leadership and control of the company led to splits and high-profile tensions. Still, despite these challenges, the family has maintained its influence and wealth, showing the resilience that defines true old money dynasties. Their brand has become so powerful that it is practically a global household name. Beyond the business, the McCain family has also made its mark through philanthropy and political connections. Members of the family have supported healthcare, education, and community initiatives, while Wallace McCain was widely admired for his charitable work and leadership in Canadian business circles. From potatoes to billions, the McCain family represents how a simple idea, executed with vision and persistence, can transform into a generational fortune. They turned fries into a global empire and secured their place as one of Canada's most influential and enduring old money families. In the number 2 position, we have the Weston family, a dynasty that has shaped Canadian retail, fashion, and food for generations. Their story begins with George Weston, a Toronto baker in the late 1800s, who opened a small bread shop with one simple goal: to make quality food affordable for everyone. That humble bakery laid the foundation for an empire that today dominates Canada's grocery aisles and extends deep into international retail. Through George Weston Limited and Loblaw Companies, the family controls one of the largest food distribution and retail networks in the country. From Loblaw's and Real Canadian Superstore to Shoppers Drug Mart, their reach is nearly impossible to escape. Every grocery run, every pharmacy visit, likely connects back to the Weston fortune. This dominance has made them not only one of the richest families in Canada, but also one of the most influential in shaping everyday life. The Westons also extended their influence beyond Canada. For years, they owned Selfridges in the UK and Holt Renfrew in Canada, cementing their status in the luxury retail market. This blend of everyday essentials and high fashion made their empire both broad and resilient. But their legacy isn't just about business. The Westons are also renowned philanthropists, funding hospitals, education, and environmental initiatives. Their family foundations have donated hundreds of millions to causes that impact Canadians nationwide. The Weston family represents the perfect blend of tradition and modernity. From selling loaves of bread in Toronto to running an empire worth billions, their story shows how old money can be built on something as essential as food and grow into a force that influences both luxury and necessity. In the number 1 position, we have the Thompson family, the wealthiest dynasty in Canada and one of the most powerful old money families in the world. Their story begins with Roy Thomson, a man who started humbly, selling radios and eventually buying a struggling newspaper in Northern Ontario during the 1930s. What seemed like a small local venture grew into a global media empire, proving Roy's vision and persistence were ahead of their time. Roy's rise was so remarkable that he once described himself as a man from nowhere. Yet he built a fortune that would take his descendants everywhere. By acquiring hundreds of newspapers, TV stations, and publishing houses, Roy set the stage for the family's extraordinary wealth. But it didn't stop there. The crown jewel became Thomson Reuters, a global powerhouse in news, financial data, and information services that remains indispensable to governments, corporations, and institutions around the world. Today, the Thomson fortune is managed through Woodbridge, the family's private holding company, ensuring that their wealth remains tightly controlled across generations. With an estimated net worth surpassing $60 billion, the Thomsons are not just Canada's richest family, they are a global dynasty whose influence extends far beyond business. What makes their story remarkable is how quietly they've managed this fortune. The family is known for keeping a low profile, preferring discretion over publicity, even while controlling one of the world's most important news and information empires. The Thomson family's journey is the ultimate Canadian old money story, starting with one man's ambition and evolving into an enduring dynasty that dominates industries, shapes global decision-making, and remains unrivaled in Canada's history.